Have you ever wondered what really happened to the legendary 12 tribes of Israel? Did they simply vanish from history? Or is there a deeper, more mysterious story hidden beneath the surface? Today we're diving into one of the most captivating mysteries of the ancient world, a puzzle that has baffled scholars, theologians, and historians for centuries. Stay with us until the end as we unravel astonishing theories, uncover compelling evidence, and take a journey through time to discover possible clues about the true fate of these elusive tribes. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of this eye-opening exploration. So, where are the 12 tribes of Israel? Did they really disappear, or have they been hiding in plain sight all along? Our story begins with the epic journey of the Israelites as they escape the shackles of Egyptian slavery, guided by a divine promise toward the land of Canaan, a homeland pledged to their forefather Abraham. But this was only the beginning of a saga filled with triumphs, tribulations, obedience, and heartbreaking rebellion. Despite witnessing profound miracles and receiving sacred laws through Moses, the Israelites gradually drifted away from their covenant with God. They indulged in disobedience, embraced idolatry, and ignored the commandments meant to set them apart as a holy nation. This blatant defiance did not go unnoticed, and the consequences were nothing short of catastrophic. In Leviticus 26:17, God delivers a chilling warning: "I will set my face against you, and you shall be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you shall rule over you, and you shall flee when no one pursues you." This prophecy foretold a grim reality: the once united tribes would be scattered, conquered, and absorbed by foreign nations as a direct result of their unfaithfulness. Further emphasizing this impending doom, Leviticus 26:25 states, "I will bring the sword upon you to avenge the breaking of the covenant. When you withdraw into your cities, I will send a plague among you, and you will be given into enemy hands." And history tells us that this prophecy was fulfilled. The tribes, once proud and united, were decimated by surrounding empires, their identities seemingly erased from the annals of time. But is that the end of their story? Or is there more beneath the surface? Over the centuries, countless theories have emerged attempting to trace the whereabouts of these lost tribes. Some are intriguing, others controversial, and a few are downright shocking. Let's delve into some of the most provocative claims. One of the most widespread and debated theories suggests that the lost tribes migrated across continents and became the ancestors of various indigenous peoples around the world, including those in the Americas. Proponents argue that similarities in cultural practices and certain legends point to a shared heritage. But does this theory hold up? Modern genetic research has thrown a wrench into this claim. Extensive DNA studies reveal that indigenous peoples of the Americas have genetic markers predominantly linked to East Asian and Siberian populations, not Middle Eastern Semitic lines. Physical characteristics such as eye shape and hair texture further support an Asian lineage rather than a Middle Eastern one. Additionally, the vast differences in technological development and societal structures between ancient Israelites and pre-Columbian indigenous societies make this theory even more tenuous. But the mystery doesn't end there. Other theories propose that remnants of the tribes assimilated into neighboring cultures, subtly influencing societies across Africa, Asia, and even Europe. Some suggest that traditions and customs found in remote communities around the world bear uncanny resemblances to ancient Israelite practices. Could these be the hidden footprints of the lost tribes? Moreover, recent archaeological discoveries and historical analyses have uncovered fascinating links that challenge our conventional understanding. Ancient inscriptions, artifacts, and newly interpreted texts offer tantalizing hints that perhaps the tribes didn't vanish entirely but left a breadcrumb trail through history, waiting for us to piece together their true legacy. So, what does all this mean for us today? The story of the 12 tribes of Israel is more than a historical puzzle. It's a profound reminder of faith, identity, and the consequences of turning away from divine guidance. Their journey from liberation to dispersion serves as a powerful lesson about the importance of staying true to one's beliefs and the enduring impact of cultural and spiritual heritage. What are your thoughts on this enduring mystery? Do you believe the lost tribes are still out there, their lineage continuing in unexpected places, or have they truly faded into history? Let's keep this conversation alive. Leave your comments below and share your own theories or any intriguing information you might have come across. Despite various beliefs that Asians, such as Chinese and Japanese, might be descendants of Canaan's son, Sin, this theory has also fallen out of favor, as it does not make sense. If indigenous peoples had genetic similarities with the Israelites, with current Jews, or even with various Middle Eastern Semitic ethnicities, there might be a probability of them being considered lost tribes. However, they do not exhibit this genetic similarity. In fact, there is no genetic relation between indigenous peoples and Middle Eastern populations. In contrast, Arabs, Syrians, and Lebanese have a strong genetic similarity with Jews. Therefore, indigenous peoples are not lost tribes of Israel. Another theory that has recently gained popularity, similar to the idea that indigenous peoples are descendants of the lost tribes of Israel, is that African peoples also have ancestry from the lost tribes of Israel. This theory proposes that African peoples might have ancestry from the lost tribes of Israel. This theory proposes that African peoples might have ancestry from the lost tribes of Israel. However, this idea is entirely contrary to what is accepted by contemporary Judaism and even by Jews from 1,000 years ago. Historians like Flavius Josephus claim that Africans descend from Ham, specifically from the groups of Cush, Mizraim, and Put, who are considered the ancestors of African peoples. On the other hand, some theorists maintain that these African peoples are descendants of lost tribes of Israel. However, this theory does not align with the Bible, ancient interpretations, traditions, or genetics, as there is no genetic similarity with Middle Eastern peoples, Arabs, or Jews themselves. Many people claim to be descendants of Jews, but in reality, the only ethnic group with Black Jewish ancestry is the Ethiopian Jews. Despite having Jewish ancestry in their genetics, they are known as Cushitic Jews due to their primordial and predominant origin as descendants of Cush, which gave rise to many Africans, including Ethiopians, Eritreans, Somalis, and other peoples from the region, as well as the ancient kingdom of Cush, which corresponds to Nubia, now Sudan. Indigenous peoples, on the other hand, are descended from Togarmah, while Africans are descended from Ham and his 3 sons, Mizraim, Cush, and Put, who are the ancestors of Libya and many African peoples. Besides this theory, there are also European theories that suggest the ancient Israelites or lost tribes might be in Europe. One such theory proposes that the lost Israelites were actually the British or the Anglo-Saxons. However, this idea has no foundation. Proponents of this theory often make serious translation errors, such as interpreting the description of David as a red-haired person. However, in the original Hebrew, the term used refers to someone who is reddish or sunburned, not someone with red hair. Therefore, this theory lacks historical or linguistic basis and does not align with the characteristics of European peoples, such as those with blonde or red hair. Ultimately, despite the various theories claiming that Jews are actually lost tribes of indigenous peoples, Africans, or even some European groups, these are merely urban legends. These ideas, which are extra-biblical and based on misguided interpretations, are currently debunked by genetics and biblical interpretations. The notion that indigenous or African peoples are lost tribes does not hold up, especially considering that the peoples of the Americas, such as the Maya, Aztecs, and Incas, were already present in the Americas before the formation of the tribes of Israel and the children of Jacob. Black peoples in Africa are among the oldest, existing long before the formation of any Hebrew or Israelite people. African peoples were already established in the region, being descendants of Cush, Mizraim, and Put. However, the big question is, where are these so-called lost tribes mentioned in history? In 722 BCE, when Assyria destroyed Samaria, the Israelite tribes were deported to Assyria itself. Specifically, in Assyria, where these Israelite tribes were located at the time, Assyria was a rival of the ancient Egyptians. Therefore, the captives of the tribes of Israel never reached Africa. For these tribes to be in Africa, they would have had to enter through Egypt, which was controlled by the Egyptians. The Assyrians and Syrians, who were rivals of Egypt, kept the Israelites as their subjugated people in the region and defenseless. Is there any biblical basis suggesting that these lost tribes are not actually lost but are in Assyria, Syria, and the Middle East region? Yes, in 2 Kings 17 verse 6 we find, "In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away to Assyria, and placed them in Hala and on the Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes." Many of these Israelite tribes ended up being absorbed by the peoples who arrived in these regions, as well as by the Assyrians and Syrians who had been there for a long time. Subsequently, the region experienced various conquests by different peoples, such as the Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Parthians, Turks, and finally the Arabs with the expansion of Islam. You might think, okay, that's the Old Testament, at the end of the Old Testament, during the period when Chronicles were written. But what about the New Testament? In the New Testament, we find people from different tribes of Israel who do not belong to the tribe of Judah. For example, in the Gospel of Luke 2 verse 36, Anna from the tribe of Asher is mentioned. Another example of a tribe other than Judah is the tribe of Benjamin, from which the Apostle Paul, also known as Saul of Tarsus, is a famous representative, although there are more verses in the New Testament mentioning other tribes. I cited these two to illustrate that the Israelites were not completely lost. In fact, these tribes did not scatter to extremely distant regions, but suffered conquests and often deviated from God, falling into sins. A point that often raises curiosity is the question of the tribes of Israel that are actually in Assyria, Syria, and other regions of the Middle East. Many people wonder about the fulfillment of biblical prophecies regarding these 12 tribes. The answer is that they will be saved, but in a different manner than originally imagined. Jesus Christ transformed Christians into the new Israel, the true people of God. The distinction between Jews and Gentiles has disappeared before God. As the Apostle Paul states, in Christ there is no Jew or Greek. It was not by chance that these tribes mixed with Assyrian, Syrian, and other Middle Eastern peoples. This mixing has a purpose, so that in the end times these tribes will remember their Israelite heritage, convert to Christ, and be saved. In other words, this is all part of God's plan. Conversion is not just about Israelite heritage, but about recognizing that all are part of Shem's heritage, Noah's son. The divine plan is not to save only one ethnicity or specific people, but all people. Regardless of language origin or any other characteristic, what matters is faith in Christ and acceptance of God as Father. Thus, all who believe in Christ and become children and servants of God will be saved, not just Israelites or Semites. May God bless you and see you.